Hello, and welcome to another episode of Woody's Pictures. Today, we are talking about the Odyssey. What this channel is, if this is your first time watching, is just a conversational YouTube channel about movies where I want to take less of a review approach and more of a let's talk about the movie, the themes, the production, and the context in society and the greater history of film. Um, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Now, you might be wondering, if you don't want to review this, if you're not trying to, make this an opinion video, why is the title The Odyssey is Christopher Nolan's best movie? Well, the reason behind that is not only to hopefully get somebody to click on the video, but also because I think that's true. And maybe that's antithetical to what I just said about not injecting opinions into these videos. But I want to talk about what elevates this film so far beyond what most filmmakers set out to do today. What sort of cements this as one of the greatest pieces of visual storytelling in modern history, and why it's so damn good and so damn important. Um, that might sound like some pretty heavy glazing, which, call it what you will. That's what the comment section is for. But I really was captivated by this movie. I saw it in 70 millimeter on Saturday night, um, July 18th. I'm seeing it again later this month in 70 millimeter IMAX. And then I'm seeing it once more after that in standard IMAX. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see it again. This film is truly incredible. I don't want to spend time on this channel spending too much time, talking about, things like the acting was good and the lighting was good and the set pieces were really cool. But from a production standpoint, this movie is truly jaw dropping. There are many moments in this film that are either extremely hard to imagine how they were shot, or were clearly extremely difficult to shoot in the manner in which they were. Add that into the fact that Christopher Nolan could only shoot 2 to 3 minutes at a time because he used an IMAX camera that weighed 300 pounds in order to make the dialogue audible, because normally IMAX cameras are for vista shots with not much dialogue, and oftentimes that dialogue is replaced with ADR and not what the actors are saying during that actual shoot. Um, this is a feat. It's a feat beyond filmmaking. And the guy who made Oppenheimer, the guy who made The Dark Knight, the guy who made a movie where a plane drives into a building practically in a movie where, like, Christopher Nolan has said that this movie pushed his stamina to its furthest ends. And when you see all of the other movies he's made, and everything that went into Dunkirk and Tenet and Interstellar, it's just, this is a feat in filmmaking from a production standpoint. But I wanted really, I know I've spent the first 4 minutes talking about the physical elements of the production, but I really want to kind of hone in on the narrative elements of this story, Christopher Nolan's specific take on the story, and what makes this truly a modern masterpiece, what makes this such an important film, and how are all those things kind of combining together for me to definitively say this is, in my opinion, Christopher Nolan's strongest movie. Um, so the Odyssey, in and of itself, was passed down verbally through song. It was, I mean, and that's kind of meant to be amplified by Travis Scott's role of the bard, showing that this is a oral tradition, this story. And Homer is credited as the author, but as far as historians are concerned, it is extremely likely that Homer had no real part in structuring this narrative, and was more so somebody who was there to be the first to truly transcribe this story that had passed down through the years. Um, and it has taken on different interpretations due to the nature. This story is 2,700 years old. It is estimated to be about 600 years older than Jesus Christ. And here we are watching a movie about it in 2026. So it's got to be an important story to some degree to have stood that test of time and to be worth a extremely expensive, intense production in today's entertainment IP landscape, right? So let's kind of get into why is this happening? Why is this worth making, right? Now, bear with me because I do have a point to all of this. The Odyssey has kind of undergone various interpretations. There is, as people kind of believe that there was a certain degree of foreboding, of warning people about the impulses of man and the dangers of conquering and war and power and the pursuit of power. But for the most part, the reason why the Odyssey has stood the test of time is because it was mostly received as a heroic piece. Odysseus was a hero. We weren't, I mean, people in general weren't really focusing on thematically, this is really warning us about the consequences of our actions. Um, no, it was this crazy story about this guy who went on this insane adventure, overcame insurmountable odds, and made it back home to kick more ass and win his wife back. And if you know anything about modern day box office big budget movies, you can probably understand why that would be a recipe for success and a recipe to extend this film's or this story's reach for centuries. Um, so Christopher Nolan's interpretation, again, if you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen it, I'm really not going into spoilers beyond that. I'm really not getting into too many specifics, to be honest, at all. But Christopher Nolan much more leans on the same sort of thematic uh, tentpole that he does in Oppenheimer, right? The consequences of our actions, the consequences in the pursuit of power, the consequences and the everlasting just deterioration of humankind through these actions. Now, just a TLDR, right? The Odyssey is the story of Odysseus and his men sneaking in through the Trojan horse to win the Battle of Troy. And then they try to get home, and through many, many inconvenient obstacles, uh, it becomes very difficult. And Odysseus finally gets home, but it was not easy. And then he has to reclaim his throne, X, Y, and Z. You know, most people probably know how the story goes. But what Christopher Nolan really focuses on is the same sort of thematic through line that he did in Oppenheimer, like I said, but also there's a 2017 adaptation by a woman, or a 2017 interpretation of the Odyssey by a woman whose name I cannot remember. I should have pulled that up before I started this video, but if you just search the 2017 Odyssey, I think you'll be able to find it. But essentially, it does kind of get into this lesson element of the Odyssey. It's not just a heroic tale, right? It's a lesson to be learned. And the way in which Christopher Nolan hammers this home is just incredible. The entire movie is literally just sort of exemplifying and illustrating the consequences of the pursuit of power, the consequences of war, not only to the human race as a whole, but also to us internally, mentally, psychologically. You can almost look at what Odysseus goes through after the events of the Trojan War from a complete space of symbolism, right? Every single piece is sort of a consequence or a trauma that somebody might deal with when they lead men to war, when they participate in war, when they kill and do whatever else that war entails. Um, and I think once you kind of understand that, that stuff becomes very clear, right? Um, the Cyclops portion itself sort of uh, kind of packages that in an earlier scene that can kind of be carried out throughout the rest of the movie thematically. Just that disrespect of life, that disrespect of nature, and that disrespect of God and Zeus's law. And that is sort of what this movie gets at. It is just talking about and exemplifying just how detrimental things become when we abandon our honor, when we abandon our humanity, and how there is no honor in war. There is no, there is no moral victory when we are killing each other and killing other living creatures and beings. And I don't mean to just sit here and explain this, because I'm assuming if you've seen this movie and you understand the Odyssey to some point or another, like you probably have glimpsed that. But the manner in which Christopher Nolan packages this and the structure in which he presents it drives this idea home, in my opinion, better than it ever has. It takes an ancient story that has stood the test of time for a very particular reason, and puts it on a modern day pedestal in a modern day medium, and completely just it levels up all of that symbolism, all of that foreboding, um, just nature of why we shouldn't be doing the things that we're doing, and how the flaws of the human condition are really coming back to haunt us. And this is incredibly true today. And if there was an intention back when the Odyssey was first recorded to send that message that, hey, we are really just screwing ourselves over in this pursuit of power and lust and immorality, if that was the intention 2,700 years ago, then it can only really be described as a tragedy that here we are today, still doing those same things with war, with politics, with random occurrences on the streets. Um, and it really is just a foreboding message encouraging people to be good to one another. Um, and whether or not this truly can impact the greater world, and our lust for power and war, almost certainly will not. But if it does impact people on an individual level, we can only hope that those individual people can begin to put some good in the world. But I think the structure in which this film is edited really just elevates this idea to such an incredible depth. I mean, it is similar to Oppenheimer, a non-linear, linear story, right? We start with 20 years after Odysseus left. We immediately cut to the Trojan horse. We cut to towards the end of Odysseus's journey on when he's with Calypso. We cut to the Cyclops. Then we cut back to Ithaca years after the war. I mean, we're really going back and forth, but all of these storylines do sort of progress, right? And ending the, you when you're watching this film, you're like, oh, okay, he decided not to show the Trojan horse um, sequence, right? He's just showing the horse washing up on the beach. We're going to move forward, and then he does show the sequence about halfway through the film. Then you're thinking, okay, he's not going to show the raid on Troy, and then he does show it towards the end of the film. And the manner in which this is edited and structured to drive home these themes and this idea is breathtaking. The raid of Troy, or the Battle of Troy, taking place during Matt Damon Odysseus's monologue towards the end, where he does really lay out the ideas here, right? The through line of the film, where he does explain it in his monologue to Penelope, and he says that when something along the line, I'm terrible at quoting verbatim, but something along the lines of, when we burned the walls of Troy, we burned the walls of the world, or we burned the walls of humanity. Um, because the manner in which they attacked Troy was very, it was considered not honorable, right? It was sacrificing honor for the sake of winning the war. And that is just, like I keep saying, what this movie is about. And I don't know if, like, I can truly convince somebody who hasn't seen it of this, but the way in which this is produced, the way in which the production is so meticulously crafted and so detail oriented and just so beautiful, this concept that has lived for years, this warning to human civilization that has been out there for centuries, has never been this polished, this clearly stated, and that just the impact of the message here is incredible. It's incredible. I have never felt so just emotionally impacted by a Christopher Nolan film. And I think it's difficult to put into words just how truly remarkable and powerful this film is. I think that this is really just one of the most important messages that can be said today. And I think that in the modern IP and film discussion landscape, it's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, it's fine, but like the Ithaca parts were boring, and like, oh, the casting choices, and it was too long, and whatever. But like, I think, like, and I'm not saying that this film is beyond critique. Like, you're well within your rights, and I respect the opinion of somebody who does not like this movie. But for me personally, it's exceptional. It really just elevates this entire concept to in a way that it has never been before, and I loved it. It's my number one movie of 2026 so far. It's my number one Christopher Nolan movie, which I did not think was possible. Did not think I would like this more than Oppenheimer, nor did I think I would like it more than The Dark Knight. I know, people think The Dark Knight is kind of a lowbrow film choice for your favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but hey, I love that movie. I grew up with it, and yeah, kill me. But that's really all I have to say. I mean, I don't know how much substance I've delivered in these 18 minutes here, but I hope, for those who stuck around, got something out of it. And yeah, what did you think of the Odyssey? Did you like it? Did you kind of take away the same things that I took away, or did you think it was a pile of crap? Let me know in the comments. And I appreciate you watching. This is Woody's Pictures. Mike signing off. Catch you guys next time.